order or what? Okay, I guess right, this is a regular meeting. I'll call the meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals of October 4th, 2021 to order and proceed with the agenda. Who has a copy of the, let's see, I think I had a copy of the agenda somewhere. Is it true that we can't, am I under the understanding that we can't vote on anything tonight because it wasn't posted with the
Correct.
council?
Right.
So we're not, are we gonna have the, I guess we can still have the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't know if anybody has a, we can start it. Okay, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay, how many people, we have a quorum here? Yes, we do. So we do have a quorum, but we can't really vote on anything. No new hearings. We're gonna put off item 5 under other business, election of officers, and then go straight through an informal discussion about South Road ownership options, possible variance action, and who's gonna lead us in this?
Mike, do you want to walk through your memo?
Yeah, so I don't know if everybody saw my memo and looked through it, or I can explain it quickly if you've all read it, or I can go from the top if that would be easier, and just kind of summarize. But basically, there is a and let me bring up, I guess I can bring up the plan so you all can see it. But there's a development that is 60+ years old at this point, that was originally constructed by the Army and was turned over to housing that was taken on by a nonprofit. Hold on, let me pull this up. I cannot walk and talk, so I can't explain and click this. Here we go. All right, I'm going to share this so that you guys can hopefully see it from there. Okay, so can everybody see the screen? Yes, no?
Yeah, I could see your memo there.
Okay.
On my screen right now.
So there's a 16-unit single family home development that was originally put in again by the federal government in the 50s. In 1992, it was transitioned over into a nonprofit called Creative Housing Incorporated. There were deed restrictions placed on the property, which restricted the affordability, basically making it so that it was owned. You still owned the structure, but you could only make a certain amount of money per year, and there was verifications, all that paperwork. In 2014, the nonprofit went bankrupt, and the town became the owner of the development through foreclosure, and has owned it ever since. And so the folks here that pay essentially, and I'll go down to the plan. The folks that live here, that they pay rent essentially, or they pay monthly dues to the town to cover all the association requirements that would have normally been paid to the housing authority. The town of East Windsor does not want, nor is it in a position to be a landlord. And so what we have been working on is trying to make this property eligible so that the town can divest the property and sell the land to the property owners. So through the last legislative session, the Department of Housing and the local delegation here, state reps, worked to have the income restrictions removed from the property. So that is because East Windsor is above the 10% requirements for 8-30G and in the state statute. So they felt it was appropriate so that these properties could be sold to the occupants. So where we are now and where you come in is that this property is effectively 4 acres. It gets us we have, so 16 units. So we have roughly 4 units per acre, which is 4 times the allowable density of the current zoning. So we have about 1 acre zoning now. We're struggling with finding any appropriate or applicable zone that this property could be moved into. And we don't want to change the zone for one property anyways. The goal is to do a subdivision and take the 16 homes and create 16 lots that are individually owned, that sit underneath the houses so that these become your standard traditional properties. To do that, we need a significant number of variances. We're probably looking at lot size and multiple setback variances for each property. In reviewing this with the Planning and Zoning Commission, with the First Selectman, and with the town's council, Pullman and Conley, they really don't feel that there would be another appropriate approach which would make sense and be in line with the POCD and all the other things that we have to look at. So we are going to be coming before you in November with what is likely to be a whole ton of variances. If we need even 2 per lot, we're looking at more than 30. So we wanted to explain this to you informally, so that if there were any very, very strong concerns that you had about the approach, we could address that in the application, or if there were any issues you had with questions that we could answer. You know, we don't have the specifics of the variance requests yet, but we wanted to make sure that you had a comfort level in the type of application before we went any further.
Okay, well, thank you for that. As you know, we really can't tell you one way or another how we would likely vote on this, because that would, you know, that's why we have a public hearing. And I think you can get you know, under FOI, we can get in trouble with, I mean, I certainly can, you know, don't see a problem with bringing this before the board next month and hearing more in detail what the variances are going to be and what the hardships are. Obviously, this is somewhat of a unique situation because of the, and I was the planner at the time when all this came to be, when Fort Devens gave up, and we thought even though we were over the 10%, thought this was a good way of providing affordable housing options. But again, it really relied on another entity that would administer that. And so I could see where, you know, if that entity went bankrupt or washed its hands of it, the homeowners were left sort of hanging, you know, hanging there. That they owned the houses, but they didn't own the land. So yeah, I thought, you know, certainly thank you for explaining it. I don't think we really can give you any more direction without running afoul of some of the FOI laws and the hearing requirements.
Yeah, sure. So I think that from our perspective, this meeting has a couple of things. Number one, please put the November meeting date on your calendars, because we really want to make sure that we have a quorum. But also, yeah, if there are any specific questions or things you have related to the approach, not the application specific, because like I said, we don't even know what the variance requests will be. But if there's anything related to the history, or, you know, we just want to make sure that we have, because this is such a unique situation, we have all the materials available so that you guys have what you need to make the decision. The town will be the applicant because we're the property owner. So we will be preparing all of the documentation, and we will be writing the legal notices and et cetera. But we really wanted to make sure that again, our approach, and to the extent that anybody has any concerns about the application period, I would say, or receiving the application. Sorry.
Yeah, does anyone else on the board have any comments or? And again, I caution that we don't say anything that would be construed as prejudging the application, because there may be, once you put it out there for a legal notice, there may be people in the audience that are looking for a fair hearing,
I do not have any comments.
And who's that on the record? I just see a phone number, just,
Kurt Kepschel.
okay. Just, and if you, yeah, if the meeting, whoever's hosting the meeting before the meeting should find, if there's a phone number, should type in a person's name. You can change people's name, the phone number and type in a name for the record, so it shows up in the minutes.
I'll do that now.
Yeah.
All right, so I just have a general question as well. So previously, when this nonprofit owned the property, I understand that they were defunct on their taxes as well. So if we grant these variances and all of these different homes become their own lots, their own properties, I assume they'll then be on their own tax roll, tax liability as well?
The setup, the way that it works now is that the money they pay to the town, the arrangement is that the money they pay to the town for what they would have normally paid as part of, let's call it the association, is essentially a net wash because it covers exactly what property taxes would be. And so we had a public meeting last winter with them, with all the property owners. We had a public meeting at the annex to explain this to anybody who was interested. And this was part of that meeting. We kind of went through some of those things, and that it would be a wash because there would be no cost to them. This is an all or nothing situation. So if we're not selling 10 of the 16, we have to divest all of the property at the same time. So we need to get all or nothing, everybody on board.
Understood.
Are there more variances? Are they more, let's say, entailed than just setbacks, or is it are there some real problem cases here?
There are some properties which all the properties are not the same size, and that's based on the fact that you'll see that the cul-de-sac is not perfectly circular, so things get smaller. There's some other things that we have to look at as far as, again, going through the subdivision process, what may come up, but I suspect that there's going to be a range of variances, and what we are looking at is figuring out what the minimum and maximum requests are and finding the request which creates a level playing field for all the properties, because they were all built together. And so we don't want this person to have a 5 foot and this person have a 6 foot and this person have an 8 foot, because number one, it makes people, I think, not feel so neighborly. But number two, from an administration standpoint, we want there to be sort of a level playing field when we're looking at someone who wants to do a shed or pool or whatever. So we're likely going to move in the direction of requesting the same variance for each property so that there's a standard.
All right, that's good. What are the rules now as far as someone wanting a shed, seeing it's a leased property? Do they go through a process?
We would regulate the setbacks based on, if there was nothing in the approval of the development, it would just be the property lines which surround the whole property, the project.
Okay, thank you.
Just for Mike, there had to be in other places that had the same type of facility, or maybe not. I don't know, Fort Devens, have you looked at other towns and maybe Massachusetts or the area in Connecticut that might have been under similar issues or, and how they dealt with that at all?
I haven't, but that's a good question. We were, the biggest conundrum that we were in originally was the affordability restriction. But that we may be able to look into that between now and when we get before you.
Okay, no, just for ha-has, it just seems like, I don't know, I guess it a little bit convoluted to get that many variances put out, whether or not it'd be simpler just to write a zoning regulation that would fit that property and make it all legal, without, but I could see both ways. I mean, I could see why you might need to do it the variance way, because it is sort of a unicorn there.
The Planning and Zoning
Property
Commission,
in town.
we had an application for another project in town which sought similar density, and the commission felt that that was too much. So we
Yeah.
didn't think it made sense to be requesting this density for ourselves when the commission felt it was too much for.
I understand it. Yeah, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, and certainly it's an existing development that was put there without zoning by the U.S. Government, which was not subject to zoning, and now I don't think anybody wants to see every one of those houses torn down either, especially since people have invested their funds and money into the property. So, all right, I think then it's a go for next meeting. I certainly will try to be here. I always have another conflicting meeting that starts at 6:30, but I can always get them to take me first. So like I did tonight.
I'm sure that there's other properties, like you say, Jose. This can't be the first time this come up, so there should be a blueprint for this. And one in particular, I know down in Niantic, which is next to the National Guard camp down there. It's Pine Grove, and it was set up by the Connecticut Spiritualist camp. So they were all sold off in 50 by 50 foot tent plots back over 100 years ago, and now they're privately owned, and they don't meet any of the zoning regulations, but they're just bought and sold as lots, and there's double lots and single lots, but they're 50 by 50. So there's got to be other models out there. And I know they're still owned. I believe the property is still owned by the Spiritualist camp, because we have, it's where my grandparents met on one of the streets down there. So there's still a family cottage down there, and you pay your $125 dues to the Spiritualist camp, but they own the property, but you own the house.
Yeah, and in this case, it's the town that owns the property. So
Right. Yeah, you got to get
the
out of it.
people that sort of were supposed to take care of the property and went defunct. So and left the town hanging. Well, everyone hanging, the town and the residents. So yeah, I think we can have a public hearing and here, and I don't know if there'll be anybody in the general public will have some ideas that we're not aware of, but certainly keep an open mind on it, and I think it's a good to go next November. Hopefully everybody can make it.
Yep, we appreciate it. One of the things they had recommended is that because this is so unique and so complex and could result in dozens and dozens of variances, that we let you know rather than giving you a 10-page agenda out of the blue. So
Good.
Appreciate it. And Ruth and I will get cracking, and hopefully, we're going to see you in November. Ruth, did I miss anything before we let them go?
The only question I have is just the form of the application, whether we would have one large map that depicted all the variances, or we're going to go lot by lot.
Boy, because it's going to affect the saleability of each lot, I think you almost have to go lot by lot and file a separate. Well, I don't know. Mike, talk to the town attorney, Ruth, see what they say. On the one hand, maybe if you filed one big variance for everything and file it once on the land records, but you'd have to make sure you you called out each lot, so it shows up on any title search, but
Right, I think they're gonna
you
do
may
a
have to
deed
do
where you-
individual lots just to keep the title clean. And the attorney, and anytime there's a real estate transaction, it'll be very clear that that variance pertains to that lot. So you may have to do each lot separately, obviously one public hearing. But when you actually go file the variances, I think you need to file them.
Each, yeah, I was thinking
Lot,
like each deed
each
could
lot
tie
separately,
to
and each
one
lot's
map.
gonna have it, like you said, you're gonna almost have different, I know what Mike's trying to say, but you don't wanna give some people certain privilege that others don't have, so they're not pointing at each other, but I think you may not be able to avoid that because obviously some of them are gonna need different variances than others.
Yeah. I think that the thought is, again, if we request the same variance for each property, then we'll essentially be creating a standard for this development. All the setbacks will be the same front, side, rear. But we will look at the best way to show that on the site plan so that it makes sense as far as when you're doing a review, you'll see how all of that lands based on the
Yeah.
individual structures.
And this one, I probably might want to stop by and pick up a hard copy of the map
Mhm.
We can do that.
instead of looking at it
Yeah, we'll make
on the screen or a
copies.
small laptop. If you could have something I can swing by either on my way to work or after work on a Thursday.
Yep.
Or you can bring it into the office, Mike.
There you go.
You can bring it into my office.
Happy to do that.
All right. Keep forgetting that we get two different answers. I could see I still got my Zoom. I'm not the director of planning, but for East Windsor, that's just my standard. I guess it must automatically put that on there when I go to Zoom.
I just wanted to make a note too, that if we're planning to do this meeting for the first Monday there in November, I think that's the day before election day. So
Yeah,
I don't think the town hall will be open for a in-person meeting. So I'm just putting that out there.
yeah. Was this supposed to be in person or Zoom?
Be-
This meeting tonight was Zoom.
So if it's gonna be Zoom, the only people that gotta be it, well, you can do it from home. Everyone else can do it from home. Staff do it from home.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah, it's fine. I just wanted to make.
Yeah,
sure.
no, that's a good point because I remember when I was there and we did have in-person meetings, they always told us we couldn't use the room the night before because they had it all set up for voting. So
Mhm.
that's a good point to make. As long as that's one good thing about Zoom meetings. You don't have to worry about the physical location.
Okay, guys. Well, Ruth, you think we have anything else?
I think we're good.
Okay, I don't think we need a motion to adjourn. I think we just adjourn it because we don't have,
You can't vote.
can't vote. Although I would imagine the adjourning is okay. But anyway, thanks, everybody. And I'll see you next November. And then what's the next meeting? November 4th? Or no, it wouldn't be November
Sixth,
4th.
is it?
Today's
or
the
the
4th.
8th?
Is it the first or?
Yeah,
November.
November 1st. The 1st is a Monday. Yep.
All right.
All right.
Okay,
Good night,
thank you.
everyone.
See you then. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.